and we'll do that. But I just wanted to check out with the kids. They were actually a 240 or 110, you know, so I think I might pick up a...
Good morning. Let me turn this down. Okay, what you're listening to is my HF SDR dongle, TV dongle that's been converted, has an up converter in it to be able to listen to HF, shortwave, and even goes down to medium wave. And I did a video showing exactly what it is and how it's made and about the person who both designed it and sells these. And I'm going to try this morning to show you its operation. Weather conditions here in Florida have been really bad for listening to shortwave or listening to radio, local radio at all, because we've had storms and storms and storms. Some of them last all day long. It's really been bad. This morning we had no rain last night. Of course, I was at a baseball game, so I couldn't do a show last night. But it's this morning. It's Sunday morning at 8 o'clock, almost 8 o'clock in the morning here in Florida. And bad conditions are pretty good. And so I want to illustrate this HF SDR dongle. So here we go. Do a close-up here, try to, and show you my setup. Down there, right there, is the dongle. Whoops. Let's go down a little more. And it's basically, as I said before, it's basically a commercial TV dongle with the added up converter circuit, giving you the capability of listening to HF radio. And I've got a couple of adapters here to adapt it to my outside antenna. This is a pretty simple outside antenna. It's basically just a long wire, about 35 feet long, and then it's brought into my workshop via coax cable. That's all it is. Nothing special. It's not very long, and it does a fairly good job. Nothing compared to my G5RB up in my office, but I'm down here because I wanted to install this software and the dongle and everything on a computer that I didn't have my other dongles set up for, because I didn't want to take the risk of disturbing their setup. So that's why I came down here to use this computer. And this is the computer setup I normally use down here in my workshop. So we're going to try to show you a few minutes of actually the tuning and reception capability of this dongle. You should be familiar with, I'm using the HD SDR program, and as I mentioned, the author and maker of these dongles provides very good instructions of how to set up the program if you've never set it up before. And that's one thing about other dongles and like the other up converters. They don't give you any documentation. They just give you the device, and it can be a little troublesome to get it set up and get it working properly. I struggled with the hammered up board, the converter board. I never did totally get it working properly, probably because an improper setup. Excuse me. So anyway, we're going to kind of zoom in here and give you a snapshot of what this thing can do. I am very, very impressed with this. About a week ago, I was on the phone with the author, and I don't know if author is the correct word, maker, designer of this dongle, and we went through some things to set it up so that it's working at its best. And that night we had infinite number of stations coming in. It was just heaven. And it was at night. We're in the morning now, which is typically not as good as night. It was about 7:30 at night. And we had all kinds of signals. Now we're getting quite a few this morning, even though, like I say, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. And I'm at the 2 meter, excuse me, the 2 meter, my brain's about 2 meters. I'm at the 40 meter band, the amateur band, and I'm showing you that band and using the single sideband capability. Now let me turn the volume back up because I did find a station. I'm tuning in.
Now I've got solid state amplifiers, and I'm kind of up on mercy. I don't feel like I can go in and fiddle with those too easily, but they work, and they don't generate near as much heat down here in Florida. Down here in Florida, you don't want to generate.
Okay, he's close by. He said Florida. He's close by, which is what I typically get on shortwave on the amateur bands. Is in the morning I usually get local stations here in Florida. 80 meters comes in real good, real early in the morning, say like 6 or 7 in the morning, and then it goes down or up, how you want to call it, to 40 meters or 7 megahertz as the day goes on. Then it goes up to 20 meters or 14 megahertz as the day progresses. So you can see I've got several stations here, like 3 or 4 stations, and I've got this I get this view really widened out, zoomed in, the words I'm looking for. Let me zoom it back out some. I was very lucky because the designer and maker of this dongle, or he makes the converter, buys the dongles, makes a converter himself, installs them, checks them out, and then resells them as a package. So the converter is actually built in, as I showed before, is built in to the case of the dongle. It's that small. Here's a very strong station right here, and another one over here. And what I was going to say is, I'm a jerk. I was not that familiar with HD SDR software. I typically have used SDR Sharp for interfacing with these dongles. So there's a little bit of a learning curve there for me. 5 minutes. Plus, like I say, he gives you. Let me turn the volume back down. It's getting stronger and stronger. It gives you very good instructions with his devices. So you're not in the dark, you don't have to do anything else. Like I said before, it gives you the software, it gives you the settings, he kind of leads you through it, and that itself is a big help. So you can see I'm getting quite a few stations here. Some of them are really strong. There was one there that was really strong. Very easy to tune. If you see a station you like on this waterfall, you just click on it and it takes it to that frequency, or you can manually tune it over here, or you can, like I said, I'm not going to go over this program. This program's got 10,000 features. What I wanted to show you here is just the capability. I mean, I've been looking for one of these dongles that works with the software so you have all kinds of control over it that would work on HF. And this one works excellent. I'm really impressed with this. We can turn the, let's turn the volume back up for a second.
Sometimes even more.
And we can come down here and adjust the audio filter. See if we had 2 stations on top of each other.
The other day I was watching, and radar system showed the rain was right at the beginning of the block.
So you can see I'm really getting some strong stations here. Look at this. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stations that are strong. And you can see them up here in this waveform up here, the spectrum waveform, popping up as each of them are transmitting. So let's try a commercial station. Let's try around 9 megahertz. maybe Radio Australia will come in. So we're going to crank up here and go to about 95, I'll say. Ooh, now here's the new waterfall, and there's a real strong station there. I'll just click on that frequency, turn the volume back up. I was on lower sideband before. I'll go back to AM. Yeah. Yep, we went too far. Try to tune it in here. Yep, too far. It looks like it's at, let me turn the volume down. Looks like it's going to be at 9.395. Oh boy, look at that. Man, there's a bunch of them coming in. I'm not, off the top of my head, I don't know what 9.395. Now, one of the things you have to do when you get these dongles, and he sends you the information, but it might need adjusting it slightly, is you have to put in this software the offset frequency to bring that HF band down into the normal, what you would see on the screen, because he's using a crystal on his board. It's 125 megahertz, and that's providing you part of that offset, so you have to adjust for that. So if the crystal was perfectly on, you would adjust it by the 125 megahertz, because that's where the output of this converter and dongle is being sent out, I'll call it. So you have to adjust it back down so that you can visually see the bands that you really want to listen to. I don't know if I made any sense there. I probably didn't make any sense there. But anyway, you have to adjust it. And you go down here, the options. This is one of the things you do initially, and the instructions shows you how to do this. And you come down and you change the RF front end plus calibration. You go to that page, and you select this option here, SDR hardware on a down converter. And this is the offset in hertz. And I can say ideally this would be 100 and, let's say 125, 120. And he gives you the more precise number for this particular oscillator in this device. And then you can tweak that a little more as you use the device and your setup and everything. It might change just slightly, which I did. I tweaked it, I think about 10 hertz or something like that, just trying to make it more precise. So anyway, I don't know what that station is. Whoa, what was that? What was that just went flying through here? Some signal, you can see it down here. Some signal went flying through here. That's the beauty of an SDR receiver, is you got all this software that visually shows you what's going on. It's great for people like me who love to search for things. I love to search for stations. And just have this, whoops, there's one that popped up there just for a second. That's what I like to catch. You know, he may be only transmitting for a second or a time, 2 seconds at a time, and then he goes off. And scanning, just using the audio from your shortwave radio, you're going to miss things like this. Where this is scanning all the time. It's scanning right now about 9.26 to 9.410. Scanning that whole bandwidth continuously, very rapidly, extremely rapidly. I have I missed what she said. I have a real old, one of the early Tintec SDR radios, which is in a big box about this big, and it works fine, except it's not very fast. It runs really slow, so you can't scan very fast, number one. Number two, the bandwidth you can look at one time in this spectrum display is pretty narrow. And you can adjust that bandwidth like I just did. I zoomed in or out, so I can zoom out and look at it even more. So now we're going from 8.750 to about a little over 10 megahertz. Now we're looking at a big part of the spectrum. And like I say, this is ideal for people who love to find things. And look, this thing is really working well. Look at all the signals that are coming through on HF. We can choose another one. Here's one right here. That's like 9550. I remember that from the other day. Forgot what that was.
Considerado el más joven de los narradores habaneros en
interpretación de radio
artístico, Raidel va escalando peldaños profesionales y humanos. Sí, porque cada vez que expone su expresión oral,
it might be Chinese, but I mean it might be Spanish, but it's a Chinese accent.
Y dice gracias, como que ese jovencito de solo 17 años hablara al alma. Raidel es muy seguro cuando se expresa.
So you can see.
Dirige su discurso verbal y
So you can see reception-wise, this dongle is doing an excellent job. I've gotten reports from other people that have bought other, actually they're a pretty good sized box, about the size of a card box, playing cards, that size of playing cards, and they don't work very well. Now maybe the reason they don't work too well is they didn't come with the instructions to set them up properly. Or maybe they just don't work that well. But this one is working very, very good. I am very impressed with it. I would definitely give it a thumbs up. And I told you in my previous video how to contact the person that makes this, and what the price is, and what comes with the kit. Like I say, the one he sent me, he did not provide a conversion adapter to convert it to hook up to my antenna, but subsequently talking to him, he is planning on doing that, actually including the converter that you need to convert it from this. Here's the antenna that comes with this. Is the standard antenna that comes with the dongles that he buys. Pretty useless because it was made for TVs, but it was made for it. And it's got this PAL, which is a European standard connector on the dongle. And so you need an adapter if you want to use anything but this. You need an adapter to adapt it to something that's more common. I bought an adapter myself to adapt it to BNC, and then I have a BNC adapter that adapts it to PL239. And he says he's going to start including that first adapter, which is to adapt from the PAL to the BNC, and then you can go from there much easier and get the proper adapter. So that's kind of a quick overview of it. Like you can see, here we're at 9.5 megahertz and actually 8.75 to about a little over 10 megahertz, and the signals are just booming in. Probably right over here is WWV, and I would definitely suggest you look into getting one of these if you're interested in using the SDR capability with the software. Like I say, this is HD SDR. It will work with the other ones like SD Sharp. You just have to set them up and get it working. I've gotten to where now that he shows me how to use HD SDR, I'm really liking it. It's easy to use. It's not the beauty of SD Sharp is there's a ton of people making add-ons for it. So you can do all kinds of things with it, including turning it into a scanner if you just have a regular dongle that is VHF and UHF. So anyway, if you enjoyed the show, please give me a thumbs up. Like I say, if you didn't see my previous video, that's where you can get the information about where you can get one of these yourself how much they cost, and more background information on the designer and seller of this device. So thanks for watching. Bye-bye.